Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. Welcome back. It's been another long week of moving. It's been not difficult, but it's just been a fucking bitch, to put it quite frankly. It's it's been a lot, moving's been a little stressful, but I don't know. It's been also a creative time, surprisingly. I've been actually thinking a lot about just, the next thing and whatever that may be. It's funny, like I was thinking about like, creativity and like talking about like the next project and stuff. And it's just so fucking like it's kind of typical Hollywood. Like you jumble a few ideas and juggle a few rather, and you try and settle on one. And it's like you don't know when the right idea, not even necessarily the right idea, but the idea you have that's ready to mature is gonna be. Cause like, I went back earlier this year and I rewrote Cork. I worked on that. I worked on uh God, I worked on a few scripts. I can't even remember, but I've been developing like this one idea. And it's funny, like I came back around even just recently to like Slugger, like the idea. And it's kind of like, Stevie and I were talking about, I'm like, maybe this is the right time to do that just because we have the time, we have the vision, the resource. And I'm like, I think like right now might be the time to just go out and just like, because I've already like published the book. I've done, IP building in the past with it, but lately it's just funny how like because of the move I feel like is what I'm getting at has influenced us to be like maybe right now is the right time to kind of like revisit that and just like once again like put our authorship on the IP and go out and make the short and then maybe develop that into like the feature. And I've said this since the beginning on Unscripted, probably like early on the show, uh about making Slugger like the long haul project is what I call it, right? And I do believe that, and I do think that's what it's become. And it just feels like now is the right time. Not to say I'm not still working on the other ideas I've talked about or been like, developing, and just like kind of communicating to the audience that like, hey, like I'm on my creative journey. I'm doing this shit outside of just like one specific thing, There's a lot of diversification in the type of like projects I'm pursuing. And, this one we were just talking about it, kind of we're like out and about, we're like this one seems like it's is starting to materialize, one may say. But anyways, other than that, just been kind of grinding, going out, doing coffee runs, fucking everything's packed up still. So like I kind of said this last week, but like my house is packed up. We've been having open houses. It's been kind of just weird, I'm in a very like liminal space where I'm between places. It's all transitory. I do think there's gonna be a soft landing with everything. It's all gonna, work out how it should. But yeah, I've gotten used to this is my new normal is like the move. So I've gotten used to it. We've been out fucking getting, like I said, get like coffee runs going. It's funny, like I'm not a huge spender. Like I don't go out and spend daily dollars on shit. Usually I go to the grocery store once a day, like to get food. I usually buy like food every day. I don't like fucking stock up. I'm more of like, I'll just go. But that being said, I've been doing like, I don't really like go to corner stores or like liquor stores, convenience stores. Not that I don't even like them, but I just used to do that when I was younger. Now I'm like, whatever, my brother and his girlfriend, Stevie and Christine, they still like, that's like, they're like, oh, we're going to like Santa Cruz or something. And like lately, because I'm moving, I'm like, well, fuck, I get the routine of it now. Cause like, I'm like, all right, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock. Maybe I'll hit the fucking, corner store. Maybe I'll fucking, go out to whatever this coffee like spot. Here's the deal. Usually with like my caffeine habit, I wake up, I brew a pot. I got a great fucking Smeg coffee maker. Love it. And, I do that maybe 2 times a day. I'll brew a pot and I'll just fucking sip on it. I'll usually drink like admittedly, like, yeah, 4 to 8 cups of coffee a day. Maybe not 8. No, 4 cups. I usually drink 4 cups. And I think that's what the FDA says you can drink. Like, the safe amount of caffeine. But my point more so is that like now that I'm going out, like I have been a little less caffeinated, which is good. My sleep's been pretty good, but it's just like, like I said, this is my new normal. I had my grind, no pun intended with the coffee, but I had my grind where I was like, oh, I'm going to fucking drink coffee, go on my walk, do this. And it's all been fucking blown up like a nuclear bomb in the best kind of way because there is a change, coming. And like, it's just been funny because all of my old habits and like patterns, like they're just fucking like they've dissolved. It's just funny. I feel like I'm just in, like I said, it's like a transition. I'm going to have a new routine when I get into the new place. It's going to be a new normal soon, but right now this is the new normal. And it's been fun. It's actually been kind of fun not being fucking locked into like what I was doing before. Like the best way I could fucking like frame this up, and people have moved. This isn't new, but when your phone breaks, like your iPhone breaks, and your apps aren't available anymore. You're not fucking logging in every day. You're not going online. Like you kind of forget, like, oh, like, you when you have your phone, you're like, oh, swipe through this app, do this, do that. You kind of have a pattern even with that. You kind of just develop one naturally. Like I'm gonna check Facebook or Instagram, my email. I'm gonna check the weather. I'm gonna do this thing on YouTube, check the news. When your phone breaks, it's just like you're kind of like free of that old habit of like the cell phone habit you had developed before, which sounds crazy, but we've been talking a lot about smartphones and technology. It's true. We all have this like weird fixed time of like our day or a part of our lives at this point is the phone. And it's crazy how much it has integrated into our like constantly in our life. But when your phone breaks, you get that fucking freedom again where you're like, well, I'm free of this fucking technology. I'll have a little time to go back outside and do whatever I was doing. Or maybe like last time my phone broke, I was using the iPad. I'd put the news on while I was like fucking taking a bath, and I'd fucking have it up there on like the, vanity, and I just let it roll. And it was almost nice because I was like, yeah, I'm not like, holding my phone or like fucking scrolling or something like while I'm fucking soaking. And like, it was just nice. It was different than the constant pattern of the phone. And my point is like moving is kind of like that. I kind of feel like the pattern has been broken. My phone is broken. The phone of life is broken. And now I'm free to just fucking kind of freestyle the day in between all of the business shit I got going on. So yeah, it's been a fun time. It's funny too, despite gas being super fucking expensive, Stevie and I have been taking little joy rides around at night and kind of I just call it like the last days in Maple Park. We know it's coming to an end, and it's been a good ride, but this change is good. This is a change we need right now. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. And like, I'm sure you can kind of hear it even like, just the messaging of what I'm saying, like subconsciously, I'm just like, I'm feeling the change right now. New chapter, new part of life. Uh, it's not that dramatic because like the home I live in, I love it. It's a beautiful fucking house, but it's not the house I grew up in. It's not the house I had like sentimental Christmases at. We had some great Christmas parties. We had some great stuff go on here, but you know, it's just a little different. It's not the first house I lived in. And I remember when I was younger, we actually moved from our first house to the house I lived in most of my life. But I was sad about that when we moved. I was like, fuck, like we're leaving the house. Like it's like saying goodbye to a house can be more, like I said, sentimental. It can be a little bit more emotional. For this one, it will be like emotional. There is a sense of not even like good riddance, but it's kind of like, you know what, it's just time. Uh it's time to move on and go to the next place and the next chapter. And like I'm super, like I said, I'm super fucking excited about it. And yeah, life just feels like it's, moving in the right direction. Let's just say that. There's been like a kind of levity in the air. There's been certain things that have been concerning, but like there's a levity in the air of just like, you know, kind of a weight off the shoulders, one may say. So it's been all part of the move. The move is more psychological than I thought, I guess. Uh or philosophical, whatever you want to call it. A little bit of both, to be honest. Anyways, like I said, been thinking about Slugger a bit lately. Been thinking about some other ideas. Stevie's been working on even some of his own writing. Christine's been doing her own writing. So like everybody's kind of like, working. And I think the best thing you can do is like, look, like I kind of said this before, I would love to be making a movie all the time, every day. I've had shit get in the way over the past year. And it's nobody's fault. It's just, life deals you a hand. And like there's definitely more like revelations, let's say that, to Stevie's health issues that we've discovered and over like the past year. And it's like good because now we have a little bit more clarity and like he's gonna be fine and all that. But it's just more so the fact that like, he didn't know he was gonna like get this like muscle pain and shit and all the stuff that's happened to him. We didn't know whatever this and that is gonna happen. But now that I've kind of like had this like time not to create, I've been able not to not create, not to film and make like another movie because I wanted to follow Peninsula Nights soon. I just wanted another one. After you make one, you're like, fuck, like I loved not only making it, but like the response was exciting. And I was excited. I was like, I'm ready to go out and do it again. And I think it's going to get back as soon as we get into the new place we all settle in. Stevie's health is greatly, greatly improved, by the way. I know I haven't been given the update like I usually do, but his health has improved a lot. But what I'm saying is that in the interim, we can create at any point in time just by writing and just like, doing that. And that's something that's so important, I guess, for me, is like the outlet of writing and just like being able to stick with creating while not filmmaking particularly, it's a nice outlet. And even the podcast, I've done a lot. I always like kind of like cut myself short, and I shouldn't do that. But I think that is kind of like, I wouldn't even call it insecurity. I'd say like the idea that I feel like I haven't done enough sometimes keeps me propelling forward. It's not, like I said, it's not insecurity. I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Maybe it's more like knowing that like somebody else is working as hard as me, if not harder, out there in the world. It motivates me to be like, no, like fuck it. Like I've got to keep my foot on the pedal, and all the way fucking down. Like there is all gas, no brakes. It's kind of the nature of this business, the nature of the beast. And like, but lately, I think like I know I'm saying that I've had more perspective on it. I've really like, even with Slugger, like Steve and I were talking, I'm like, God, like I just love horror movies. I love watching them. I actually watched Terrifier this week. That's one of the movies I'll talk about. And I had never seen it. I know the hype. It just never stood out to me as one I wanted to watch. But I watched it and we'll talk about it. But like in watching that movie actually really made me think about Slugger. I was watching Friday the 13th. I'm like, God, I just love this genre. I'd love to be a part of this. And I think Slugger is like that character that like I think it's the fucking, I think he could be as big as fucking Jason or fucking Mike Myers. He's just original as fuck. And I told Steve, like, fuck it. Like, we have nothing to lose. Like, I used to be caught up also, like, I was so caught up on quality control. And for a good reason. Like, quality is super important with cinema. Like, you gotta have something that's not even competitive, but you gotta think about what you're up against. Like what people have seen and what they'll be willing to tune in for. And certain things can get away with like lower quality. Jackass doesn't need to be shot with like fucking Angino Optimo lenses and fucking, RELXs. It can be shot on fucking video camera or an iPhone. People are still gonna fucking be like, oh, Jackass. Like my point more so is that like I've kind of gotten like past like the obsession of quality. I'm like, I don't think quality of like the actual cinema camera and stuff is all I'm like after. I've gone down the rabbit hole. I've spent a lot of money, a lot of fucking time, a lot of hours. Stevie and I have both spent, equally on like money and hours and time trying to find out like what's the way to make it look the most professional. And you know what? Like I've come to the conclusion like it doesn't matter as much as just making and creating, because that's like even in my book, I have it here. I fucking talk about like how those things cost you more in the long run, like worrying about like it having to be the right way or whatever. It's just it costs you so much time, and time is the most important thing. And I'm done wasting time. I'm done being stressed out about filmmaking in that respect. I'm ready to just like make it how I can and how I love it. And like that once again, like it sounds like, oh, like a compromise. It's not really a compromise. If anything, it is a realization. I've had an epiphany and I know what I can do with the technology I have. And it's not even like I'm saying like I'm not going to be shooting on nice shit. I'm just saying I'm not going to obsess over some of the things I was obsessing over before, because they were roadblocks that I was self-aware of them, but I was still letting them get in the way of just creating. And I've like really thrown like, I wouldn't say I've thrown caution to the wind necessarily, but I feel like I've become a bit more understanding of what the bar is in terms of what I need, my internal bar, and what I need and how I can get it. I'm confident that I can get what I need with what I have and not overthink it and not be obsessed with the things that I was letting get in the way before. And that's what I'm saying. I was letting these roadblocks prevent me from just creating. And I've also like, over the past year, I jumbled a lot, or not jumbled. I used a few different cameras. I really studied like, not camera science, I guess camera science to some extent, but just different looks, different cameras, different sensors, different exposures. And this is all relative to the short because like I'm going to be DPing it myself, I'm going to be shooting it. But I now like understand the texture of Sony or this or that. And I just like, I found what I like. I've tried it all, It's like going to an ice cream fucking shop and be like, let me get a spoon of this, a spoon of that before I buy. And you find the flavor you like, and you're like, that's the one I think I'm going to stick with. I think that's what I'm going to, I'm going to use that. I could even say like, it'd be like if a painter wanted to do watercolors or if he wanted to do oil pastels, like those are two different mediums, right? Cameras are kind of the same way. You pick the one you like. You want to shoot a movie on the iPhone, you know what you're kind of getting into, but like there's a texture about it, there's a way it looks. Fuck it. I felt the same way even about like the Sony. Like there's a texture to it, but Stevie and I were even talking about it. It's a very fucking sharp, bright looking camera, but there's something about it that's just it's a little different in respect to cinema. And I've seen great movies and great work shot on the Sony. And it's not a slight at Sony at all. It's just like preference, taste, etc. Those things are all so like personal to the creator. And like I said, oil pastels, watercolors, whatever. I have a certain brush I want to paint with, and I think I found the one that I want to paint with for a little bit right now. Which brings me to the point that I think I can make Slugger the way I want to make it. Stevie and I have also like he's really good at like matte painting and set extension and stuff. I've finally in my mind it's become much more like palatable. I can comprehend it and actually like visualize how I would do effects with that. And I think that's unlocked in my mind the ability to also like, like location something that I've had such a hard time like being like, okay, for Slugger, where I'm gonna do it. And I was like, kind of like at this ball field the other day. I'm like, we were scouting locations. I'm like, what, this one feels like I could actually go out here and do it and not feel like I couldn't take a little bit of this scenery here and change it. And manipulating the image doesn't seem so, how do I say this? It doesn't seem as difficult as it used to. I also think like, once again, I said I don't cut myself short. I feel like I have grown so much as a filmmaker. My understanding of cinema has gotten so deep that the effects and stuff that I used to think were like, whoa, like how do they do that? Now I'm like, I was like, fuck, like I can't believe like we're capable of doing this and doing it well and doing it as good as like a professional. And there's always room for growth, always room to learn and improve. But my point more so is that I'm at that level of confidence. There's no imposter syndrome. Even making Slugger, like going into it, I'm confident that it'll be fucking like as good as it could be, despite any dollar amount budget. I mean, money, sure, it can help, but like it's coming down to the people that are making it. They're gonna make it special. They're gonna be the ones actually doing the effects. There's some guys out there that could, they don't need money to make the fucking special effects, or the guys in the studio pay to do the effects because they're the ones who can do it, right? And I'm not saying we're gonna be doing fucking Godzilla, fucking Marvel effects with what we're doing, but those are the people that actually know how to do it at the end of the day. They could do it for free for themselves or doing it for a corporation because they're paying them tons of fucking money, right? And or maybe not tons of money. Maybe they're paying them shit and they're just like, fuck, this is the best work I can get. Besides the point, the indie guy or the person who actually takes the time to learn it is the one who actually fucking is able to apply it, no matter the scale. I think Stevie and I are smart, and I think we're gonna be able to do it and make it a good short. I've also been thinking about casting the Slugger character, which is funny. I didn't think I was gonna talk this much about Slugger, to be quite frank, but here we are. Um, the Slugger character, he's supposed to be big, right? Almost like freakishly large in the literature, and I think like that's something I've been talking about too, because like I think Stevie and Christine will be fine for the short to do it. Stevie's game. I know Christine. I got to talk to her about it, but I'm sure she'll be down with it. Um, but Slugger, it's like, it's like maybe like my dad could play Slugger. We were joking because like he could just put on the gear and stuff. But I want somebody tall. I think that's just to make him look threatening. And he's only in it he's in the short version. But here's what I think about the short version too. We make it, we have it out, YouTube, IP, public, use it for our raise to, get money, use it to show people proof of concept as well. Kind of the whole show. But I don't know. Like when I watch this Terrifier movie, I want to get into Terrifier. I'm looking at my notes here. Do I have anything else? Really, no. Like I think we're at that point. I'll cross Terrifier into this. I'm not going to give a huge commentary on it. Oh, no, I'll give my commentary. But besides the point, let me get back to the point. The movie as proof of concept, like Slugger, like it's there. Like even the script I wrote, I'm like, I'm gonna write another one. I'm gonna write another one. Steve and I even said like, well, maybe we'll just write an even more low budget version of Slugger where we reduce it from like, because the one I wrote was like very in the vein of like say like Cabin Fever or something, where there's like a group, or like Evil Dead. And I was like, fuck, like I could bring it even smaller, like two people go out and have this experience, right, with the Slugger character. And I think that might actually be more feasible. It's the short is just to get it out there, like because I've written the book, I've published the character through social media and stuff, but actually putting the fucking short out is just the first step to making the feature. And I believe me, like my mind, I always tell Stevie and Christine, like my mind thinks in features. Like it's just how I think. I don't want to make short films personally. I don't mind it because they always turn out good. They're always fun to make too. And it's just, I just like, I love feature films. I like them. I like to watch a 90-minute to, 120-minute movie and be like, yeah, like we made that shit. It's just cool. But I understand for like, all intents and purposes, the short film is great. And yeah, I don't know. I think I just like personally, like, I think like this is the first step, like I said, to getting to the feature. It's just like trying it. I also think like, here's the thing. It's like, I don't think horror is intimidating, but like, Peninsula Nights was more like of a romance, philosophical drama, right? It was driven by the characters talking mostly, right? And a horror movie is like action and stuff, and it's just I don't have as much experience directing. That's not even fair to say. I've directed plenty of shit, but it's just new. It's new territory in terms of like, okay, a little bit broader, a little bit bigger, the scale's up. But like I said, I'm not really intimidated by that anymore. I used to think that it was harder and like more of an intimidating thing to go out and make like a horror movie or like a feature like with special effects and this and that. And like I said, I think Stevie and I are at a point where like, no, like, dude, like we can do this. Like this is in our wheelhouse. We're the most capable to do this for what we want. And yeah. So, anyways, the reason I really started thinking about Slugger more is because I watched Terrifier and I've heard all about it. It's let me get my one sheet here. We'll read off the whole names and all that. But where are we here? Oh, it's at the bottom of this page. Terrifier 2016, Damien Leone, cinematographer George Stuber. The cast is David Howard Thornton, Jenna Cannell, Samantha Scafidi. That's a great name. What can I say? I know the Terrifier character, the art guy. I know the movie. I just never like, look, it is not a slight at Terrifier. I just never like saw it and was like, wow, I gotta watch that. I always saw it, I'm like, okay, I thought it was just a low budget horror movie. And I saw it blow up. I heard the whole story. I know the guy is like, super famous now. But when I watched the original one the other day, not the short film, like the 2015 movie, how can I say this? I was like pleasantly surprised at how minimal it was. And it's a little ridiculous and it's a little campy and over the top, but like in the best way. And it does do like a fan service to horror, fans that they want that. And I've kind of said this about Slugger. Like Slugger, I'm going to shoot it cinematically. I'm going to make it artistic in that sense, right? And I'm not saying Terrifier isn't artistic, but it was shot, campy to the sense that it's almost savant-esque in the sense of like that 80s like slasher horror vibe. Um, but it was different than I thought it was going to be. Like the character was very like I'd almost call him goofy. He is a clown, I guess, right? So like he is creepy and like almost like a creepy mime, And for those of you who have seen it, I probably sound like an idiot because you're like, well, of course, like that's who the character is. I'm just giving you my hot take. Like when I was watching it, I was intrigued by the atmosphere. The cinematography wasn't bad. It was not like world class, but it worked very well for this movie. It had the low budget feel that like there's some other movies I've watched over the years, like Satan's Little Helper. It's directed by a pretty big director. I can't remember his name, but it's shot on like early video. And it looks like shit, but the movie's really good. And anyone who's ever seen Satan's Little Helper, it's kind of a sleeper classic of the 2000s. It's one of those movies that you would have rented from like Blockbuster Hollywood Video and been like, what the fuck is this? You put it in your house, like, this looks like somebody went and made this like at home, but it's good. Like the plot's good. It's fucking bizarre. I kind of felt like Terrifier hit those notes where it's like, it's a movie that if I would have rented in 2005, I would have been like, damn, like it looks like some guy just went out and made this fucking movie. And now it's in like this video store. They sold it to somebody and they printed some copies up and are like, hey, let's see if we can make some money with it. But I mean that in the most respectful and best kind of way. It was fun. It was weird. It hit all the horror notes. There's like, gratuitous nudity. Extreme gore and gore that was offensive in the sense of like violating like a woman. It was campy in terms of the acting, like the corniness, but there was still a sense of like legitimate tension, which is like, I think it's because the characters play it straight. And I don't think the actors were bad. Some of them were definitely more amateur, but respectfully, like, was that what he was directing them to be like? Maybe. Was it just happen chance? Maybe. It all worked. And that's really the point. And like, I think with like just my style of directing and like the way I would go about making Slugger, I think it will be like, it's not that tone, it's not what I'm going for, but like seeing that gave me confidence because I'm like, well, I think if this is what was like getting so much demand and still is in the market, they just announced, I think, like a fourth one. I was like, I know I could do something in this quality and vein and be okay. And that's not to sound cocky. I'm just being honest. Like, I really think like if that's the bar, then like, and I understand it was 10 years ago, 2015, 11 years ago, But I was like, no, like if that's the bar and that's what people in horror want, and I am a fan of like what I saw. I like Terrifier. I'm gonna watch all of them now. But I was intrigued and I liked it. I'm like, well, look, like even Slugger's kind of just like an homage to those 80s slashers with other, let's say flavors added in. But if that's what it is, you can tell this Damien Leone guy he just fucking loves horror movies. And I do too. And I think if I'm going to put something out in that category, it's out of love and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna come out good. A little note I have here, I don't remember the guy's name. I won't mention it actually, but one of the actors in the movie Stevie saw and he's like, this fucking guy like is one of my Instagram haters. And it was so funny because like I was like, are you serious? And like he's just like, I know his name. And like before I even looked it up on IMDb, I was just like, holy shit, is really that guy? And this guy, like, he just hated Stevie's content on Instagram because it was acting content. And it's just so funny because like, we're watching it, we've never seen it, and then we see the guy and he's just like, holy shit. And he was absolutely fucking right. So you never know where your haters may be, high, low, in a fucking low budget horror movie. Who knows? But it was funny. It was so fucking funny. Oh my God. He's causing problems all over the place. No, it was good. And that guy was fucking out of line. I remember the comments. He was just, haters are funny because they come at you for no reason. It's like unfucking warranted. It's like, I didn't fucking ask, you know? And it's just, they're always they're always okay with just fucking like airing their opinion. Their opinion means the most. Haters always have the biggest opinion. And that's, so I can say the same for a critic. They always have the biggest fucking opinion, right? Because their opinion holds value and weight. And it's funny. But I mean, maybe the guy wasn't wrong with whatever he was responding to because he was in this movie. But like, here's the deal: this guy wasn't in this Terrifier movie because he was the greatest actor. It's because he was the actor that was casted in this movie. Respectfully, he's not bad. I'm just saying, like, he got lucky to be in it because it was so low budget, and probably at the time they're like, hey, like, if he's the guy who's like the right guy right now, let's get him. It's not like they're looking for Matt Damon to play this guy's part. Anyways, I digress. Terrifier 2016, really good gore, fun. I'll revisit and I'll watch all of them. I wasn't even a hater. I just kind of like there was other movies coming out in that period of time that I just thought were more interesting. But I'm glad I saw it. I'm glad I got around to it. All right, so Steve and I were talking. I'm like, what other movies did we watch this week? And I really couldn't remember any. I think we watched Twilight, but I've talked Twilight on here. I don't want to do Twilight twice. It's too soon for me to revisit Twilight. And I believe I have talked Twilight on here, but we were at my parents' house for Mother's Day and we watched Twilight. And then after Twilight, it just came on, was Cat in the Hat. Cat in the Hat, 2003, directed by Bo Welch, writers Alec Berg, David Mandel, Jeff Schaefer, cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki. Emmanuel Lubezki is a fucking star, and we'll talk about him a little bit more. But the Cat in the Hat, also let me say it was starring Mike Myers, Dakota Fanning, Spencer Breslin, Alec Baldwin, Kelly Preston. I think Kelly Preston was the mom. She actually passed away. Really sad, but she was smoke show. Unfortunate. Rest in peace. So where to start? Bo Welch, the director. Let's talk about him for a second. He's like kind of Tim Burton's go-to like set designer, art director, whatever, I think. He's highly affiliated. You can tell because like Cat in the Hat had an insane visual. Like the sets were incredible. The actual filmmaking with these sets too was fucking ridiculous. Like I remember watching Cat in the Hat a lot as a kid. I thought it was hilarious. Like, and I think I did see it in theaters, and I think we just owned it on DVD, and we'd watch it a lot. But as an adult watching it, like, yes, I get it. This movie is made for children, but honestly, like the cat. Okay, let's talk about the cat too. The movie starts, beautiful visuals, right? I get it. Emmanuel Lubezki also, like, this guy's like a 3-time Oscar-winning fucking cinematographer. He won for Birdman, Revenant. He also shot Gravity, Children of Men. So many fucking hit movies. And to shoot Cat in the Hat, like, just think about this. Think about who's making Cat in the Hat. Like I said, I know it's for children. It hits a little different as an adult. As an adult, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, like, dude, this is fucking like made by some of the best filmmakers in the world. I get it's Cat in the Hat. And not only is it Cat in the Hat, it's got Mike Myers. Like fucking Shrek is playing Cat in the Hat. Austin Powers is playing Cat in the Hat. Wayne is playing Cat in the Hat. You have a fucking superstar who takes on the role. Now, he appears in the movie, and this is something I noticed this time as an adult. He comes into the fucking movie and like into the kids' lives like by, happenstance. But like, dude, he's like a New Yorker. I never realized that as a kid. Like the cat is like got a straight New Yorker accent. He's got a team of lawyers around him, like having the kids sign contracts. He's litigious as fuck. He's like suing other people. The cat is kind of a bad dude. Also, like, he's too old to be hanging out with these kids. I'm being funny, but like honestly, like I noticed it this time. I'm like, dude, he is crazy. He's like this litigious New Yorker alley cat. Ah, fuck. But no, Mike Myers was great. The movie has such freedom of like whatever they wanted to do. Like, look, what is the real story of the Cat in the Hat in the book? The cat comes to the house, fucks things up, and then he helps the kids out and helps teach them a life lesson. I think that's it, right? It's been a minute since I've read my Dr. Seuss, so give me a fucking break. But this fictionalized version, the mom has a boyfriend who's a little out of line, Alec Baldwin. He's like a con man who wants to just try and get the kids sent to military school and invade the house. Basically, shack up with this lady and take her riches and kick the kids out. Sounds like great for him, right? And she's way too good for him. The cat comes into life to help the kids, become good kids again and have the mom trust them and love them and not want to, seek happiness with the man or whatever outside of the house. No external validation, right? But yeah, generally like this version of the cat, there's so many like asides just from like, I know what I'm saying. I'm saying like plot narrative, right? But there's asides. There's like a scene where he's doing like a cooking show in the kitchen. And it's just like, I don't know if they let Mike Myers just create bits or like they talked with him for the script. Like, we're just going to do this bit. And we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But like with Mike Myers, and I've talked about Mike recently with watching like a few of his movies, like How I Married an Axe Murderer or whatever. But he is so unique and he is such a fucking big personality. Like when he is in something, he takes over the screen. He becomes the movie. I also thought it was funny because Mike Myers is so like famous during this time. We're talking like the Shrek, Cat in the Hat, Shrek 2. Like this is all in that same time. He is probably the most famous person in Hollywood right now, right? And this is coming off Austin Powers. He's so fucking famous at this point in time. And it's funny, even in the Cat in the Hat, I was listening to the music and there's like 2 or 3 Smash Mouth songs tucked into the soundtrack. I'm like, even Smash Mouth was so heavily affiliated with Mike Myers. It became like part of his. They didn't have to have a song in Cat in the Hat. Mike Myers is like, I think we need it because it's like people associate me with that fucking voice and that band. And it's just so crazy. So much of his branding and who he is as an actor, aside from just being the cat, is just like it's embedded into the DNA of this film. And it works and it fits the time and the movie was also extremely timeless. Like Whoville or wherever the fuck these people live in Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss's fucking universe. There's technologies there, but it's like the 1950s or 60s, but it's like Jetsons-y where they have like everything. It's like retro future, if that makes sense. It's timeless because like that could exist anytime is what it feels like. And I just noticed that so heavily watching it this time that the movie held up. Visually, it held up. It was beautifully shot. I never watched it and thought like, oh God, this looks dated. You got Emmanuel Lubezki. Like I said, this guy is a fucking pro. Like the movie is shot with the utmost care and quality. The exposure is beautiful. It's funny too. Another thing to mention is my fucking cinematography teacher, one of them at least at film school, Dana Kroger, she was the second AC on this movie. And she told me that when they were making this fucking movie, Mike Myers was in that suit and he was just dying just the whole fucking time. They're like, he was doing like 110 fucking percent for the camera, but after that thing would turn off, he wasn't even like rude. He was just like, holy fuck, like this suit's killing me. He obviously was a good sport about it, but she was just like, you could tell like it was like tolling because of the outfit and the makeup. And watching it this time too, like there's been a commercial going around lately. I don't know if it's like an insurance ad or something. It's got like a Cat in the Hat ad that's been going around. Something like that, right? And the guy's got like the ring around his face. You can tell that it's not professional makeup. It's just like he's dressed like the Cat in the Hat, like a Halloween outfit. In the Cat in the Hat film, like Mike Myers' fucking outfit itself, like it's kind of creepy because it looks like a fucking psychedelic nightmare. It's like a man cat, It's very strange. It's very bizarre. The whole movie's kind of a psychedelic fever dream if you think about it. It's just everything looks like somebody just like got dosed with like mushrooms or acid and they're just like watching this fucking strange world unfold. And I don't know. Maybe Dr. Seuss was just tripping balls and making these fucking ideas, but the way they visualize it into cinema, okay, like I guess the best comparison I can make to a movie that came out around this time, one second. The best movie I could compare it to that came out that was relative to the time was, I think, The Grinch. How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's makeup very similar, and I think they were both Universal Pictures. But besides the point, the Grinch is far less, sorry, psychedelic than like this movie. This movie was like very psychedelic. The colors were psychedelic. Everything about it was psychedelic. It was, like I said, like a psychedelic fever dream. It was very strange. It was a very, not ahead of its time, retro future. I don't even know. It was its own thing. I was very, very, very impressed. And I didn't think I was going to talk this much or this in depth about Cat in the Hat, but here we are. Anyways, Cat in the Hat was really good. The kids were good too. Dakota Fanning, she's a fucking star. I loved her and everything as a kid. I think we might be like literally the same age. So, it's just funny to see that, she goes from like Cat in the Hat now to like her newest thing's going to be this indie drama with Swanberg. It's going to be interesting to see what she does. And I'm interested to see that movie. I saw it got distribution. That's more of an aside. But yeah, Cat in the Hat was good. The kid was good too. What was his name again? Breslin. Spencer Breslin. I think her brother, or he is the brother of Abigail Breslin. Spencer, or whatever her name is. Abigail Breslin. What was she in? She's in Zombieland, Little Miss Sunshine. So it's interesting too when siblings are both like really talented actors. And he was good. The kids were good. The acting was good. The whole movie was good, and especially the way it was shot and just made. The editing was fucking great. Really good script too. Like, I get it. It is Cat in the Hat. I know it's not. This isn't Taxi Driver. This isn't Titanic. But for what it's worth, like, I think if you're thinking of revisiting it, do it. It was kind of just a movie we threw on by chance. Kind of came on, I think, after fucking whatever else we were watching, and it was refreshing to see. Also, just kind of for me, it was like nostalgic. Took me back to the 2000s when everything was like that Nickelodeon color palette. Everything was bright and colorful and fun. And yeah, it was interesting. Anyways, didn't watch anything else. I started watching The X-Files, but I really didn't want to talk about that here. Just because I haven't watched enough of it. And it's good. It's just, it's funny. I'll talk about it for a second. Just the show is so well made. Like I've only watched a few episodes, but these episodes could have been just fucking movies. They're that good. That's how I think the integrity of modern Hollywood is. Like, maybe it's not even integrity. Maybe the writers are just not writing to what like a story should be, the traditional, I want to call it like the trad model of writing. But like, these scripts were so fucking good for X-Files. Like, it kept you guessing. I was like, holy fuck, what's going to happen next? And now I watch movies that's either really predictable or I'm like, this just kind of just didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go. And I'm like, it's lost in the woods. Hollywood is sometimes lost in the woods right now. That's all I'll say. But yeah, X-Files has been good. I'm trying to think if I watched anything else. I did watch some of that alien shit that came out this week. The fucking UFO files or whatever. I saw like Trump disclose a bunch of shit with, aliens, and it was fucking interesting. I kind of talked about aliens last week on the pod. Even some of the art was alien. It was on time for like, that release. I knew it was coming, but it's not even that so much as like, it just like that release just opened up the door for more questions. And I really want to get Stevie on here or somebody else who wants to talk like a little bit more alien talk, a little bit more like conspiracy talk, because one, when we did talk conspiracies and shit, like the clip actually went viral, but two, it's just, some of the stuff in that, drop was interesting. And look, I'm a pretty big believer. I do believe there's other life out there. I definitely am curious to what was in these, files. And I think more stuff will get discovered. Some of the images were fucking crazy. And like, there's this one image and it almost looked like a fucking starfish in the ocean or something. And look, like, who knows what it is? It's unidentified aerial phenomenon, right? But hopefully there is more to it. Hopefully we get more information. It's strange times too, that like this is all, coming out now. Like, when you're living in like, when you're thinking of the timeline of life and existence, you don't think this is going to be in your timeline. It's just funny. We have had the craziest, like, I think we're living through literally one of the craziest times in human history. And I'm sure everybody fucking says that, there's probably some guy in the old West, like saying that shit, like seeing the fucking, I don't know, some new technology, if a fucking cowboy seeing a car getting built and he's like, we're living through some strange times, brother. Look at that fucking car over there. They're about to put the horse out of business. Every century has its technological advancements. And what's funny is like, just to reference that, to echo that, what I'm saying, it's like 1899, it's kind of like the turn of the century. It's like when the time like fucking Doc and Marty go back to the future or something. Like, things are about to change. And people know like when the millennium, not the millennium, when the century changes, it's only like a quarter of a century in that things really start to change, right? But we're almost there. We're in like the 2000s fucking 26. It's almost 2030. And like if you think about that, it is fucking crazy to see that we are going to be like living in like where old technologies are fucking, falling to the wayside. I'm sure in the late 1800s, when shit was changing, people were like, wow, like old ways are going. People aren't writing telegrams anymore. They're making fucking phone calls. Like, people were probably just blown away. In the 2000s, people stopped sending letters. They started sending emails. You know, it's just, there's always another fucking technological advancement. And it's just the gap between like advancement is getting smaller and smaller all the time, every year, always. We're going to see a lot happen, I guess, with technology in the next few years, especially with AI. AI's, it's funny. This is another thing. I saw the guy who predicted the AI crash, or not the AI, the stock crash of 2007, 2008 with the housing market, the bubble. Uh, the guy from The Big Short that Christian Bale played. He just said that he thinks AI, like the bubble's coming. He's like, the stock market's going to crash. And like, yeah, he probably's right. I mean, who knows? I do think AI is super overvaluated itself, but despite valuation, it's what the market wants right now. And it's what people want to believe to invest in. And it's like everywhere, like, and I get it. Sometimes the gold rush comes and goes, but like you could say the same for anything. It is just, it's the next thing. And right now AI is all that. And there will be something else, and there will be something else. And like, I don't know, if you think about that, it just gives you perspective on how like things are always changing and always will. And there's really nothing you can do. You just got to keep riding the wave, So I'll leave you with that. Ride the wave, folks. Ride the wave of life. But yeah, like I said, been moving, been in the process, and I've been a little off on the schedule, or at least two with these. So hopefully, if you're like a weekly listener, it's not a huge curveball. They're still coming out once a week, but I get it. Like maybe one's 8 days, maybe one's 9. I think try and keep it within 10 days is what I'm trying to do, at least within the week, So anyways, guys, it's always good to catch up. It's always good to come on here and yap and fucking rant and let you all know what I'm up to. And also like, just touch base, give you a little update on my creative journey, creative struggles. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, also I didn't really get a chance to fucking show you, but the Filmmaker Mindset, I finally got copies. It's on Amazon. You don't have to go buy it. I'm going to be posting these affirmations every week anyways, but for fun, why don't I just read one of these? Why not? I read the book all the time myself. I actually have a different copy. This is like one of the new copies. I have the demo copy and I just fucking read it all the time. I love this one right here. Mistakes are part of mastery. I don't avoid them. I mean, fuck. Mistakes are made, right? And, they don't put a eraser on a pencil for no reason. But, with filmmaking, you're not really going back. You're not going back to erase. Sometimes a mistake is the moment. And sometimes a mistake is what makes it great. And you got to lean into that. You got to trust yourself and kind of think like, hey, you know what? Like a happy accident is what I call it. And I said that a lot on Peninsula Nights. And I'm sure I'm going to say that a lot when I'm making the Slugger short, or I'm doing the next thing and the next thing. And, look at mistakes as happy accidents. I think that's really how you have to view them. They can end up being the thing you like the most about a project. And also like, you learn through the mistakes and you learn through the failure. And that's what it's all about. Like, look, like I've learned so much through just doing, and through doing, I've made a lot of mistakes and I failed a lot. And that's kind of just the fucking, nature of the beast. So yeah, keep on failing, keep on fucking up, keep on making mistakes. All right, guys, I gotta go. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I'll be here all night. This is another episode of Unscripted. I'm Devin Thomas, and I'll talk to you all next week. Peace, guys.